Today, we have an all-in discussion with seasoned real estate professionals as they share their insights and stories in our very first podcast called Behind the Listing.
Hi everyone, this is Meg.
And Mikey from the Earthauz team.
On this show, you will learn about real estate insights, trends, and tips from top real estate brokers and industry experts in the country.
Before we start this episode, please subscribe to our podcast Behind the Listing and view the full content of this episode on our YouTube channel, Earthauz.
If you'd like to reach us with feedbacks, ideas, or questions about Behind the Listing, simply reach out to us on our website, earthauz.com or facebook.com/earthauzph.
Joining us today on our first podcast are two seasoned real estate professionals, Ryan Young, a real estate broker specializing in commercial properties, and Miguel Imperial, a real estate broker and a sales trainer.
Thanks, Mike. It's good to actually be on a podcast like this and discuss the current situation of real estate world. I actually am not as seasoned as Brian over there, but I've been in the real estate industry for more than 6 years now, and a good part of that was in sales training. I was the sales trainer for Ayala Land Premier, so I trained a lot of real estate professionals, not only here in Metro Manila, but as far as Mindanao as well.
By the way, I'm Brian. I've been in the industry for about 10 years. So I've been working as a property specialist, focusing on high-end brands. I've been focusing also on selling commercial properties.
So I guess to start off this podcast, first and foremost, how are you guys right now?
You know, the current situation the Philippines or we are in right now is not really as good as before. In fact, from the initial opening of ECQ and then lifting of it, and then now we're back in ECQ. It's really a deja vu. And actually, this time around, parang mas mahirap, no? But we're staying positive. The outlook is still positive, and we've been blessed and lucky enough to actually have some accounts that we're actually working on. So we're in a good place right now. I am. Brian is, I'm pretty sure also.
Yun nga, sabi nga ng isang idol natin, no? Sabi niya, for every crisis, there's an opportunity.
It's nice na you guys still have a positive attitude, no, despite everything that's been going on. As you mentioned, Migs, di ba, we've been in and out of ECQ, so di mo actually sure kung kailan ba tayo babalik sa normal kasi we're so used to meeting clients outside.
It's not only the ECQ, Mikey, it's also the guidelines that go with it. It's confusing, all of these MECQ, GCQ, and taking tabs on different areas. Since we're in real estate, we go Bulacan, we go Subic, we go Laguna, diba? We focus on CBD, and a lot of these local government have different guidelines. So it gets very taxing when trying to figure out what we could do and what we can't do when dealing with accounts that we're working on. So talagang mahirap, pero yeah, like what we said, we're staying positive.
So having said that, can you tell us a little more about your daily routine before, and how do you stay productive these days naman? Kasi syempre it's different from 2019 previous years and then 2020 and onwards. So are your other friends, the real estate sabihin natin, buddies, feeling anxious about what's going on now?
Right now, actually, yung scenario right now, no, compared before, medyo malayo. Like, since nagsimula yung pandemic, I think na-boost or na-fast forward yung digital age. So, before yung mga sellers before and now, medyo malayo talaga yung, work ethics nila and yung way ng how they contact their clients. Before kasi parang it's easy to contact clients through, let's say, through mailers, through calls. But right now, parang more of social media since clients are always lagi nasa bahay. They usually on their phone. So, parang they always check. Parang medyo mas social media yung basis ng communication right now. So, people are selling through Facebook ads, YouTube videos. So yun, basically, yes, maraming mga, like yung mga sellers namin, no, medyo they are getting worried na baka hindi sila makasabay, but you just need to adapt it. Adapt to the new changes of how to sell, of how to reach your clients. So, how do we keep us to feel positive? Maybe yun nga parang sa real estate, di ba? We're always saying that in times of crisis, that's the best time to invest. Like stocks, di ba? Kapag bagsak, doon ka bibili. So right now, dahil yung mga developers are offering good promo schemes, so this is the best time to invest since kapag everything's back to normal na, you won't get that chance na again, like yung stretch na payment term. So I think for me, ako, I'm really positive no na we could still hit our quotas.
The common misconception kasi nowadays is that um, let's buy secondary market because bumagsak yan or mababa and people are selling at a low price. But that's not really the case, no? What we are neglecting is the actual pre-selling projects that we can invest in because of what Brian said, no? A lot of real estate developers are actually offering a lot of very very friendly terms. As good as zero down. Alam mo yun, di ba? Mga zero down payment, and these are not your run in the mill developers. These are very well known developers who are offering these kinds of setups to our to the real estate market, of course. But daily routine now and how do we stay productive? To answer the question, Mikey, it's really different now. Like what Brian said, you have to keep on calling, social media calls, reaching out to your clients. But there's an added layer of insensitivity. May ganun na eh. From before, syempre, as an agent or as a realtor, calling clients wasn't easy. It's never easy, Laging mahiya, laging you're always met with anger, and now a lot of clients actually have a very very valid reason. Na why are you reaching out to me in this time of pandemic? Binibentahan mo ko ng real estate. May mga ganyan. So, I guess what I want to let everyone know is that syempre we cannot compare before to what's happening now. Ibang iba, 'di ba? This is an unprecedented pandemic we're in, and we really have to pivot and adjust to the new normal. No? We've been talking about this for a year now. So how do we do that? For me, I think it's a matter of being grateful. No technical stuff. No, it's about being grateful with what you have right in front of you. Dati, hindi ako masaya sa 5 workable. Bitin yun, kailangan 10. Kailangan 10 yung tinatrabaho ko ngayon. Right now, honestly, I'm very happy with at least having 1 workable on the table. In the real estate world, you can go from 0 to 1 million, overnight. And that keeps me going. So I guess being grateful, keeps me productive. Being grateful keeps me moving.
Tell us a little bit more of um, how you've been dealing with this second bout of ECQ.
Wave.
Actually,
Yeah, well, the first wave kasi it was easier to accept given that everyone was going through it, not only the Philippines, the whole world, no? We were all forced to buckle down and lock down in our houses. This second wave, especially coming off some sort of momentum after the initial lifting of ECQ, syempre ganado kami, the motivation was there, we were all positive, we were raring to go. In fact, me and Brian started building a team right before ECQ was, the second wave of ECQ was implemented. So I guess the hardest thing about ECQ is it being ECQ. ECQ is not so real estate friendly. Being a real estate broker, you're field heavy, it's really hard to be at home trying to reach out to your clients and just sending online presentations. Although it's a pivot that all of these brokers can, of course, do and have been doing. Because as we've been seeing with other developers, people have been selling. And when people have been selling, that means people have been buying. So the business is moving, it's still there. And it's just really a matter of how to tap things. And this ECQ isn't really very helpful to that cause. So the hard part about ECQ, Mikey, is ECQ in general. Being locked in, being forced to stay in one place, um, and it's the acceptance of it. Kasi nga, ang daming industries na pinayagan. This second time of ECQ, it's not really as hard and lockdown as it was last year. It's much more lenient to other industries na naaral nila na pwede naman nakabukas. or the industries that support the economy on a day-to-day basis. Siyempre, real estate doesn't do that kasi hindi naman siya day-to-day. But, siyempre, parang ganun pa rin. It's really just really hard to stomach this second ECQ wave and how they're implementing it. From a week, biglang ginawang 2 weeks, and now we're in an ECQ for a month again. So it's really that. It's more of a mental game for me.
Actually, I agree with Migs, no. Yun nga, yung first ECQ kasi parang people are ready na parang na-announce siya beforehand na we'll have this lockdown, ganun. But right now kasi parang the government parang biglaan yung mga announcement, like before sabi hanggang April 5, tapos biglang next 10 hanggang 11, ngayon until the 30th. So plus siguro yung pinaka factor din na nagpahirap din sa situation right now for the second wave is yung yung number of infected with the COVID-19. So medyo a lot of our clients were also diagnosed with that sickness. So medyo parang mahirap ngayon na mag-offer. Unlike before na, alam mo yun, na konti lang yung mga cases. So kahit medyo in a wrong timing, you could just ask politely to your client na, sir, I know it's not a good time to offer, but I wanted to offer you this great opportunity. But right now kasi medyo insensitive ka kung mag-offer ka, tapos knowing that some of our clients are, alam mo yun, may sakit or ano. Kaya medyo mahirap lang talaga ngayon.
Yung insensitive part, dati kasi, first ECQ wave, everyone was having a hard time, including real estate brokers. So parang syempre, from a client's perspective, hey, this real estate broker is trying to make a living during a pandemic, but syempre naging, na-extend 2 years, syempre nag-iba na yung feeling. Now, the current feeling siguro, or the natural tendency of these clients when being offered, an investment, syempre nakikita nila as gastos, unnecessary at this time. And the seller is met with anger or, animosity. So those are added challenges from this second lockdown we're in.
It's really the shift of priorities.
And understanding those priorities. We have to be sensitive. We need to understand where they're coming from. We just can't randomly call out random people and say, hey, bili ka nito. What if yung, diba, kapatid pala niya na-infect, kakagastos lang nila ng 2 million sa hospital and all of these things. There are so many external factors that we have to consider when offering or, offering property to our clients. So right now, ako, ang nagiging tendency ko, I'm more of inbound assistance ako versus outbound. What does that mean? It's not that I'm just waiting for sales to come my way, but then when a person is really interested and is in the market for a certain product, 100% assistance yan from our.
How long does it take to actually close a deal these days?
Right now, no, medyo naging mahirap since nung pandemic kasi before tayo mag-ECQ, I've been negotiating with a client on a property somewhere sa north, no. So before that week kasi parang we plan to check the site, ganun. So after that, dapat we will go back to the site to have a geodetic engineer to check the size of the lot. Medyo na-delay dahil nagka-ECQ. So ngayon, I think yung buong area nila sa Manila is naka-lockdown. So medyo na-delay lang. And the client also mentions that, yun nga, maybe we could delay muna yung paggastos since may mga ibang priorities sila right now.
Mahirap mag-close ng deal talaga ngayon because of other factors like government agencies being shut down.
Your business, diba? Nag-stop bigla yung business.
Yeah. Cash flow nila nahinto. So, monthly payments are not as readily available all of a sudden. But to share a story, one of my favorite sales that happened last year was actually during ECQ. There was a second wave talaga, that small wave during August, if you remember, na nag-ECQ ulit. Tapos that was also Ghost Month, no? In the real estate industry, Ghost Month is such a big deal. It's a big thing that, a lot of, a big part of the market are not really investing. I'm talking about majority of the Chinese investors we have, especially since, Brian and I focus on the high-end market. They really follow this parang malas daw, diba? I think that's the whole Chinese belief, no? It's not good to spend during that period of time, or what they consider Ghost Month. There was a sale that actually took me 2 weeks to fix, and that happened during ECQ and Ghost Month. So, iba-iba Brian would attest to this. There, every real estate transaction is different. So to answer the question, how long does it take to close a deal? I can't really, give you a hard answer on that kasi iba-iba yan eh. Like for example, may mga deals na mabilis lang, ilan araw lang. May pre-selling deals ngayon. Like for example, I don't want to name the developer. Nagkaka-problema ngayon yung property and they can't release contract to sell. So the CPS is a very big part in the transaction. And without that, hindi magpo-push through, 'di ba? So na-delay talaga. In fact, the sale was closed February. Na-book siya Feb. Hanggang ngayon April wala pa rin nare-release ng contract to sell. So we're in limbo waiting for that. But with the secondary market, as long as these government agencies are open, I think smooth sailing naman yan eh. Because there are a lot of kumbaga innovations that you can take nowadays. Like for that sale I was talking about, the buyer, which was my client, was actually very paranoid with regards to COVID-19. So they didn't want to have to meet with the buyer or the seller, sorry, to sign the deed of absolute sale. So what we did, instead of meeting up, face to face, we did video signing. So taking a video of my client while he was signing it and holding up a newspaper, and the same for the seller. And both parties were amenable naman to it. So the sale did push through. So it's a matter of adjusting talaga, adapting to the situation, regardless of it being ECQ. And as long as, again, these government agencies remain open, where they can assist you with all of the requirements that you need to secure to close the deal, then everything should be good pa naman.
What kind of property do you consider as like hot in the market right now?
When you say hot in the market, no, right now, I think when you mention hot in the market, I think you are referring to those properties that are below market value. Is that right, Meg?
Yes, at talagang mabilis mabenta.
Okay. Yeah. Well, right now, no, kasi because of the pandemic, no, there are businesses na medyo nalugi, or there's individuals na hindi na, they can afford to pay off their monthly amortization. So, a lot of people are selling their property below the market value. So, these are the properties that we considered are parang hot item. No? So, right now, medyo there are aggressive investors who are looking for this type of properties. Like, I have several clients na who tells me na pag may good deal, sabihan mo ko kasi yan lang ang mga, I will take good opportunity of those market. Kasi yan lang eh, pagka nag-back to normal to, hindi ko na makikita yung mga price na ganyan eh. So,
Sa akin naman, I think the hot item or the hot ticket items would be further away from the metro, no? There was a trend during last year, during the initial part of the pandemic, where a lot of developers sold out inventory from their south projects and north projects as well. So I think the current trend for people living inside the metro, they really want to decongest and live further south or further north or away from the city where syempre napaka-dense ng population dito. So yeah, properties in the south I think and the north. When I say south, yung mga Laguna area, north yung Pampanga, Porac area. These are the areas where investors ventured into versus buying condos. So sila yung naging parang hot ticket items during the pandemic. Lots in the south, lots in less dense areas.
For the next question, with the real estate activities limited to leasing only, how do you feel with real estate selling still suspended until now and technically somehow deemed as non-essential?
It's not naman as hard. It's not super suspended. No? There are still transactions that still can push through. Like for example, there are RDs or BIR offices that are still open, na kumbaga centralized na sila eh, di ba? So you can request documents from them, and even if it's not part of the area where your lot is located in, or the properties you're selling is located in. So buhay pa rin siya, but to address this concern about real estate selling being non-essential, we forget to actually think of the taxes involved in these real estate transactions. These are huge amounts of money, no? For a 15 million peso condominium, you already automatically pay what? 900 to 1 million pesos in capital gains tax, which of course goes to the government. And these taxes can be used in the fight against Corona or COVID-19. So I really don't agree with it being non-essential. in terms of government income. Siyempre, non-essential in the sense na, invest, invest, invest. And pwede naman maghintay yan after ECQ. But remember, like what Brian said, no? April 5, naging April 12, naging April 30. Who knows what will happen after April 30? There's no clear government plan laid out for us. And it's really a tough thing to anticipate these things. Kasi we can't. We can't really have a clear outlook on what we can plan in during May or the next few months. Kasi nga, we don't know what's in store for us. And if we're gonna continue with this ECQ or MECQ, and they're gonna limit movements, mahihirapan talaga ang real estate sellers, no? Yung mga real estate practitioners natin to continue with their business. But then again, like I said, we have to keep on. We have to keep on keeping on. It's a thing that every everyone, not just real estate practitioners, should have. No, is to keep a positive outlook.
I agree with Mix, no? Tama naman siya, Bali. Like, as sellers, no, we cannot stop naman, like, kunyari, biglang nagka-ECQ, hindi naman pwedeng mag-stop yung life natin, di ba? We need to adapt, eh. So, we still need to find ways how to close the sale. So, we need, actually, yung medyo na-limit yung real estate. I think sa secondary because of yung government agencies na nag-close, eh. But for the pre-selling markets, tuloy-tuloy naman yan. Like, the developers, they have this online briefing, tapos yung mga booking, lahat naman yan ipapasa lang sa office. So lahat naman yan continuous in terms of pre-selling developments, eh. So sa mga secondary lang, medyo nagkaroon lang ng delay since pag mag-due diligence ka, hindi ka makapunta sa BR since close sila. So yun lang. I think so for pre-selling, tuloy-tuloy naman ang sales activity, eh.
How do you keep the conversation running with your clients, no? Particularly sa secondary market. Halimbawa, nag-close na kayo, kaso nag-ECQ, or let's say, nagka-lockdown ulit. Paano yun? Kasi syempre, wala kayong magagawa. So, ayaw mo naman din mawala yung sale. So, how do you engage yung clients mo?
Actually, the first thing I do siguro right now, no, yun nga, I'm touching the emotional aspect of the client. So, una-una, I make sure that the client is okay, his family or her family members are okay before ako mag-open up ng about this business. So, I make sure na, how are you, sir? Hope you're doing okay, walang may sakit. So, that's the time na I would open up this parang business offer. But, pag nalaman ko na may isa sa mga members ng family na may sakit, parang I would postpone or I would delay the negotiations na lang.
Lots of sellers or people think na it's not an important part of probing or part of the sales process, but then actually touching base and tapping the emotional side of your client and actually being really, really authentically interested in them and showing care plays a big role in the sales process. And tama si Brian, you have to show compassion, number one, because if kung puro, diba, everyone here has been everyone in this call, nabentahan na tayo ng something somewhere along the way, right? And I always hate it when I'm being hard sell ako. Hindi pa pandemic yun, ha? As in sa store lang or sa mall, kasi hard sell ako, na-turn off ako doon. So, actually just, building a relationship with these people that goes beyond the bounds of the real estate transaction, that's a very, very powerful tool to actually have, and a powerful practice to actually do when engaging in these transactions. So yeah, I agree with Brian.
Okay, so guys, what happens to the after sales process? Are there any delays or bumps along the way?
Actually, yes, may delay, no? Kasi like, yun nga, yung isang client ko na we are having a transaction at the north side portion of Manila. So right now, dapat mag-due diligence na ako, but yun nga, nagkaroon ng ECQ, hindi ako makalabas. So even the client naman understand the situation, eh. So even sila naman mismo, they told us na yun nga, kung hindi pa kaya, it's okay, but we're just here, we're interested. Let us know kung kailan natin pwedeng ipasa yung offer letter. Parang clients kasi are really understandable now, especially when they're really serious buyers, no? Hindi naman sila yung parang, I need the documents right now. Pag wala, I'll back out from this offer. Hindi, eh. They understand the situation naman.
The normal bumps along the way, especially for like what I mentioned kanina sa may problema yung developer, hindi makarelease ng CTS. So yung mga ganon, may mga talagang unforeseen events that we cannot avoid. Sa secondary market naman, like title release really got ang tagal ng transfers, no? For that sale that I actually did last September, parang January, February na namin nakuha yung title. So talagang may mga current delays, and it's just really a matter of informing your client, kasi that's what real estate brokers are. We're the kumbaga tayo yung middleman talaga between client and seller, and we relay any and all information to them. So as long as we're not lying, we just have to put the seller or the buyer at ease, the client at ease, then that should be enough. No? They should also come from an area of understanding. One of the clients that I had was very, very understanding. Na every time I just give them an answer, and it really, really seemed like I was giving excuses for myself. Pero hindi, ganun talaga eh. May delay yung CTS, may delay yung titles. They always just revert to me and say, yeah, we understand, Miguel. So these are the clients that I really like working with, and not to seem like an obnoxious person or obnoxious broker, but then Brian and I are at the point in our careers that we actually filter our clients rin di ba? Kung may bastos dyan or hindi talaga understanding sa'yo, we're in a position that we can actually say, sir, if this is gonna be the case, then baka you could also look for some other brokers that could assist you. But we're lucky enough that we've been presented with clients that are very understanding and very reasonable. And these delays and bumps are easy to, relate to them because, again, naiintindihan nila.
Yeah, to look at the brighter side, I think what's good now is that clients are really more understanding and more sensitive.
Yeah, syempre, there are a lot of factors that, played with our heads, and a lot of realizations in life in general that not only brokers or professionals have, but everyone who's experienced this pandemic, which is the whole world. And yeah, I think it's coming from a more emotional standpoint, and the understanding that people really are trying to make a living right now, trying to put food on the table, trying to pay the bills, trying to live life, and as real estate brokers, this is the way we know how to do it. And for you to hate on us for that is just saying that it's like you're telling us na, oh, wag na kayo magtrabaho. Parang ganun eh, di ba? Eh, hindi naman. So, syempre, it's just a matter of looking, prospecting talaga for the right clients.
All right, Migs and Bri, thanks for sharing your insights with us. No, so before we end this podcast, do you have any parting words or tips for our real estate brokers or agents who are at home right now listening to this podcast?
Like I've been mentioning throughout this whole podcast, no, it's a matter of just keeping a positive outlook in life. Um, don't get burdened with all of these things. A lot of people are going through it. It's not just you. You're not alone in this struggle. Brian and myself are, and we're actually leading a team now of 20 sellers, and that burden falls on us also. So what we just really try to tell them is to maximize the time that we've been blessed with, this extra time that we've been blessed with. Familiarize yourself with all of these operating rules and regulations with regards to the pandemic. Keep tabs on industry trends. These are very important things. Para hindi tayo na naiiwan, no? You can expand your listing database, study projects, and there's a lot more, but the most crucial part of what I said was, you have to keep that positive outlook. Hindi tayo pwedeng bumigay. You have to be strong, resilient. It's funny because these traits are supposed to be with real estate practitioners talaga, even before the pandemic. But then they're much more important right now, no, to actually do in your daily life. You really have to stay positive and keep on keeping on, because this pandemic, this hardship we're in, this will pass, and we want to get out of it stronger than when we were before. And the way to do it is to continuously learn, stay healthy, the exercise, all of these other small factors that you think is small but really play a big role in your life, no, be a really important role in your life. And yun lang, no. Tiwala lang, have faith, and this too shall pass.
Dapat we need to be positive. Since if you check yung other, like yung mga ibang tao, no, na Like yung mga jeepney drivers, yung mga workers. Yung iba nga, they don't have a job, di ba? Parang they need to think of other ways paano kumita, how to survive every day, how to put food on their table, daily basis. But tayo, we have a job eh. Parang we're a real estate salesperson, so we just need to be patient, wait for the right timing lang. So right now siguro habang sa ganitong situation, we need to sharpen our skills or we need to enhance our knowledge, product knowledge first. Second, siguro we need to check kung ano yung mga tamang strategy. Third, siguro we need to adapt to changes like yun nga, sabi ko nga, social media yung bagong trend ngayon eh. So kailangan dun tayo nakaboost yung effort natin. Tapos fourth, siguro we need to also look for other opportunities outside. No? Hindi lang naman selling eh. Kumbaga, in times of this pandemic, meron din mga nag-open na mga opportunities for real estate like outside of Metro Manila. So ito yung mga market na naghahanap ng big open spaces. Tapos there are a lot of clients na kailangan naman ng bigger condos kasi they need to work from home. So they need to move to a bigger condo para may sarili silang element, may sariling office. So may mga opportunities pa din eh. So yun, we need to be patient lang, keep safe. Yun nga, tama, exercise. So in time, pag natapos to, we'll be stronger than before.
You've reached the end of another episode of Behind the Listing.
Click next to continue on to the next episode.